Hey guys, Sai here. I'm back with my second video. I plan on making one every day as long as things stay how they are. In this deck showcase slash gameplay video, I'm going to be showcasing this deck that I made. The idea behind this deck was that I really liked Dark Gaia and I really liked Norleras. This is the list I came up with. We're gonna bounce around a little bit because I want to tell the story of how I got to this. We'll start with how it started. I found Dark Gaia through this list. There was the old list with the rituals like demise and stuff, but I thought that list was slow and it didn't make me enjoy Dark Gaia all that much. But this list it's just fun to play. If you don't want to try Norleras Gaia, I'd give this a try. Personally, just because of the amount of draw power you have, the accessibility to your three most powerful cards being Dark Callings, obviously. And then after that, I played a Norleras deck that I saw on E3 Yu-Gi-Oh channel, which is where I found this deck as well. And I was like, well, both of these decks are way too fun. Let's combine them. So I've been running different lists, just seeing what sticks, what doesn't. And I've come to this list. It's not complete. There's cards that could be taken out, cards that should be in here maybe. But I'd like to show this video. So far we've got one card trooper, just a good mill card. It's a good first play of the first turn. If you can't harass them, it's fine to just sit on a card trooper because this deck doesn't have back rows, so sitting on something that people don't want to kill as easy is not bad. Okay, you got Dark Arm Dragon. This is how you close out games sometimes. There's a ton of darks in here that stay in the grave. Obviously, you can banish stuff for Dark Calling. We got Dark Grepher. Kind of obvious. It sets up your Phantom of Chaos. Send Phantom of Chaos, send Norleras, and Norleras from your hand, send Phantom of Chaos, activate Monster Reincarnation. It also just works for sending Plague, Necro, and Desgardius. We have 3 Gaia the Earth Giant. This could be any rock monster, but we want them to be as big as possible because the faster you win, the better. You want to win on your turns where you can drop heavy and Trinid. Garoth, one of the Lightsworn names. We'll get onto that later. Gores, you have no back row in this deck, so surviving. It also just, it's basically a 5k body every time. Maybe a little less, but it's perfect for a deck like this. And it's also the biggest thing, a Fiend, which I guess I should have said what Dark Calling does in the first place, but fusion summon 1 fusion monster from the extra deck. The monster you're fusioning is this, Evil Hero Dark Gaia, and basically what this guy says, 1 Fiend monster, 1 rock monster, you fuse them from the graveyard by banishing them or from your hand, and it adds the attack of those 2 onto this card. And that is Dark Calling / Dark Gaia. And then we have Jane, our second Lightsworn name. Trying to get one of each name. Lumina, another good card. Lila. These are 4 names so far. And then we have Raiko and we have Wolf. The reason we're running Lightsworns in this deck is to meet the solar recharge, obviously, and the charge of the Light Brigade. The reason why we picked one of each different name is so that Light Brigade can get any different target. There's an argument to not play Jane. There's an argument to not play Raiko. You could play 3 Lila. You could play, I wouldn't play more than 1 Garoth, but that wouldn't be terrible. Garoth plus Lumina is a very strong play. Then we move on to Desgardius. Desgardius is how you set up a OTK combo that is quite common, being normal summon Grepher, Grepher send Desgardius, or send any Dark, being any of these. And then you can send, if you have a rock, you can send it off of trade in or keep it in hand. You activate Dark Calling, 35 plus 33, 6,800, and then you have your 1,700 direct Grepher. If they have a Raiko set, which is the most common first play when you go second, this is 8,500 damage, and that's 8,400 over 8,300 over the Raikou because it'll flip up into attack. Sometimes you'll get lucky and you can open either Foolish Burial or you open Dark Grepher and you can send Plague. If you send Plague, you can make a Brionic and pitch to bounce their card and just hit for 23 plus 68. Obviously, you're not always going to have these two. And the big thing is, if you wanted to make the deck a little more consistent and do a little bit less damage, you would just have Lava Golem instead of Discardius. It's probably better that way. It's 300 less, but 6,500, 6,800. The one thing to think about, though, is that if you go for Lava Golem instead of Discardius, when you do your Grepher plus Gaia Plate and Masked Beast into Dark Gaia, it's now going to be 6,100 plus 17, which is, or not, well, yeah, this is 61, this is 7,800, these three cards together, right? So you're going to miss lethal by 200. If you do if you do Lava Golem, obviously that'd be 300 less, and that would be 75. This obviously matters once you have Valkyrion, because Valkyrion is 68 when you combine these two with Dark Calling. It sounds like a lot of math, but it's simple, I swear. And then, but if you have Lava Golem plus Valkyrion, it's only 65, which makes Dark Grepher 82. And if they have a Raikou, obviously Raikou has 200 attacks, so it would be 8k direct. So it might just be better to put Lava in your deck. But I like Discardius. So that was a really long explanation, but whatever. Morphing Jar. I mean, this card's slow as hell, but some games you're always nagging with this deck, because sometimes you search through your deck and then you're like waiting for certain cards like Dark Calling, or you're waiting on Triant Trunade or Heavy Storm. Morphing Jar can just win you games sometimes. Necrogardener, staying alive. Phantom of Chaos is the second half of this deck. Some games it is just playing Dark Calling. Some games you are just hitting the other person with Norleras, and then you'll eventually draw into Dark Calling. The deck changes each game. That's what makes it so fun. It also has this energy, both Phantom of Chaos and Norleras, which is why I thought this deck could work. They're both Fiends, so you can banish them for Dark Calling, and they'll make your Dark Gaia with any of the rocks, obviously. And a 3,500 Dark Gaia might sound small compared to your 6,800, but that's enough versus almost everything. 2,800 is the same, and not to mention, in this deck, Phantom of Chaos copy Gaia Plate takes out almost any monster in the format. Same with, obviously, Phantom of Chaos target Dark Arm Dragon in the grave. Phantom of Chaos by itself is a good card, although it does get stopped by Book of Moons, or Torrentials, or Solemns, or the main one being the enemy number one of this deck as a whole, DD Crow. DD Crow eats this deck alive. Plague Spreader makes, the main one is Bryo, but it makes other stuff too, obviously. It's pretty good for making Dark End. We got Raikou. This could be traded out for a different Lightsworn, because it might look weird that we're playing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 names, even though we're not playing JD. But I just want to have variety in my deck. I would say to keep the Wolf around, because sending him off of Foolish Burial is how you get to game sometimes, and it's especially good if you draw it after a Norleras. A 2,100 body after Norleras is great. Card Destruction, anything to get closer to Norleras with Phantom of Chaos at the beginning of the game is great. Although sometimes you do deck out in this deck. It's happened a couple times to me. So be aware of that. Charge the Light Brigade, probably the best mill card in the format. It's too good. Obviously, if we could play Future Fusion, we would. But since it doesn't specify the names on here, you cannot Future Fusion with this card, sadly. If you could, this deck would be miles better. You've got Foolish Burial. This is how you set up your Phantom of Chaos Norleras combo. It's how you make a Wolf. It's how you set Plague. It's probably the best card in the deck, apart from Dark Calling, obviously. We got Trunade Heavy. If you have these two, game shots are 10 times easier to go for. You don't have to be afraid of back row. Monster Reincarnation. I'm going to show y'all the second version of this list after I'm done with the deck profile, because this card is insane. This card is very broken. It sets up Norleras Gaia really easy because of Greffer. Obviously, it manipulates the grave for Dark Arm. And you can get back things that you mill like Luminos. It is quite a powerful card. 3 recharge, free trade-in. The number of discards for recharge and trade-in was taken into account heavily. Obviously, you have more 8s to trade in than you do more recharge targets. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 8s compared to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 light sworn names. You have 2 more names. And basically what all that boils down to is that your trade-ins are more live. But that's just because you don't want to be clogged on light sworn names. If there was more deck space, like if it wasn't infringing on the consistency of drawing Dark Calling, I would play more light sworns and you'd have a higher chance of playing solar recharge. But this is the ratio I've gone down to. I've gone down so many cards. I've started taking out cards like MST in the main. Obviously, it's a great card, but I don't know. It couldn't fit in the main for me. You got 2 Cyber Dragon. I put this in every deck because I suck at siding, so just 2 Cyber Dragon Fortress. You got 2 Crow. I don't really side Crow in very much. It's good for Dad, though, if you like siding it in. Dyna. In the original Gaia Sworn deck, you could set up your combo and then summon Dyna, and they can't gorge you and or they couldn't gorge you and they couldn't battle fader you. That's a pretty massive thing to do. You got Lava Golem. Lava Golem might just be better than Descardius. Lava Golem is really good in certain matchups. Good against frogs. Good against plants for the most part. It's not good into Amaryllis probably, but that is what it is. We got MST, like I said. Soul Release. This is pretty good against mainly Lightsworn, I guess. Lightsworn and Fairies, but sometimes you're not able to do anything and they just mill them all in one turn and get you anyway. Especially Christia decks. Christia decks will eat this deck alive because you want to special everything but the Phantom of Chaos, but that's what it happens when you play a jank deck like this. And I don't really know if this is jank or French jank or what, but it's definitely really fun. Masker Restrict, Frog Monarch. Frog Monarch eats this deck alive. Or not eats this deck alive, but it's hard to out a dupe block with this deck. Because if you can't attack, Gaia can't switch anything. So having Master Restrict's good. We got Pulling the Rug for Frog Monarch. Like I said, I'm not a good sider. Decree. Decree's in for Black Wings. Mostly Black Wings, honestly. And then you have Dyna, like I said. The extra deck, 1 Fortress for the 2 Cybers, just in the Machina matchup. 3 Dark Gaia, Cataster. These are all cards you can make with Plague, basically. None of these cards, they come up. Like, a couple of them come up, obviously. It's mostly the 6s, right? Because your decks are 4s, and then you have this. You have Armory Arm. If you have a Ryko plus Plague, that might come in handy. But yeah, that's basically the deck. I have a second version of this that I was playing around with originally, but I ended up cutting it down to this. I'll show you that. And basically this one, I added 2 JD to it. There's some more Lightsworn names. And I've also maxed out on Reincarnation. Now this deck, things to know are you're more explosive because you have JD obviously, but you're also more bricky. Even though JD is a trade-in target, you don't really want to be trading in JD because it's a boss monster. But you do have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You still have the same amount of names, but you have 3 Lila in this one, so the recharge ratio is better. But with Monster Reincarnation, having this up more makes your Norleras Gaia, like your Norleras combo, a lot easier. It's basically the same side and same extra. I've just added the extra recharges, the JDs, and the Lilas. That was the big difference in this deck. There's also Chaos Circ in here because you're playing more lights. That is basically the deck, and now we're going to go into some... I'm going to try some replays this video just to see how it is compared to the regular one like I did in the first where I played live. See how y'all like that. Alright, so back here with... we're going to do replays this video instead of live games like the last time. And this is the first game with the Norleras Gaia deck. I finally got some card sleeves, so that's cool. This opening hand, not bad. I can get rid of my Norleras, draw 2. That's usually what you want. Obviously, having Phantom plus Norleras is great. I get a Garroth plus a recharge. That's like the best thing you could see. I end up milling a Dark Calling and a Necrogardna. Never want to mill Dark Calling, that's the best card in your deck, but milling Necrogardna, that's really good. I just go ahead and... This is a pivotal point in the game. I just go ahead and normal summon Phantom, and I'm going to try to do Norleras. This is bad against specifically decks that main deck Crow, which is Twilight, and mostly just Twilight. Twilight's the one that main decks Crow. And then the other deck that it's bad against is Christia, because they could have Orange Light. An Orange Light would negate your Phantom of Chaos, and you would be down on a turn, basically. And you would be down at Norleras and Grave. This hand is pretty good otherwise, but there's nothing I can do with it, and I could set Morphing Jar, but I'm still discarding 3 of my own cards. So I just decided to go with Chaos. Target it. Go for it. He says it's fine. We end up sending everything, and I see that he's on Pac-Man. Pac-Man with Gravekeeper's Crown. I drew Raikou, but since I normaled the Phantom last turn, I couldn't summon the Raikou, so now I'll just set it and pass. He sets a second back row. And at this moment in the game, I didn't even know he was playing Pac-Man. I didn't look at his grave. I did a no-no. You're supposed to look at their grave. I didn't realize he's on Swarm of Scarabs and Gravekeeper's Descendant. So I flip my guy up and target one of his back row. And pretty terrible mills. You don't want to see this. The only thing that's decent here is milling Lila for Lumina. If I draw Lumina, I attack for 200. He summons a Tomato. The reason I attacked there instead of... And the reason I flipped is because I drew Gores, and I wanted Gores to be live sooner than later, so I figured I'd just get to attacking. Drawing Norleras plus trade-in, always great. I asked for the thumbs up because some people would solemn that when you're on 1 card and you discard 2. Leaving somebody on 1's usually good, so that's why I ask. I draw Dark Calling. Banish Gaia and Norleras for a 5200 Dark Calling. And he starts to think. His back row is Starlight Red. I didn't know this at the time. Maybe that's a spoiler, but it wasn't anything. And I was just gonna play it because I had Gores, so I was feeling safe. I was feeling dangerous. I had him for half his life here, 3800. And he summons Swarm of Scarabs, and this is when in the actual game I was like, oh my god, he's playing Pac-Man. How many people play Pac-Man and Edison? Surprising. So I normal summon, at this point I normal summon Lumina. I'm like, I don't need the Gores anymore. I'm never getting attacked this game. I just need to up the clock because he's going to flip this next turn and destroy my Gaia. That was like what I was thinking. So I was like, I'm going to start milling. Hopefully I get some draws off of Gareth. I mill 3. I hit 2 rocks. I mill 2 more. I hit 3 spells. So not great mills, but 2 rocks is fine. 2 rocks is fine. This turn, I imagine he's just going to flip it, and he's going to destroy my Gaia, which is fine. He sets Raigeki Break with no hand. And I figured since he set another card, whether it was Mirror Force or Torrential, I was just going to hold my hand and play. He ends up having nothing, obviously, so I just attack. I end up milling again. I mill Phantom of Chaos, Grepher, and a Valkyrion. Valkyrion's good, but these two spells being gone are kind of rough. We're almost 30 cards in, and I didn't mill my wolf, but then I draw it, of course. That's just Yu-Gi-Oh! And right here, he ends up drawing into swords and then placing it instead of holding Raigeki Break, and that makes me play. And I'm like, in this deck, you gotta just go for things because you don't get to grind as much as other decks because I'm at 8 cards left. I can't stay any longer, so I just decided to go for Brio pitch to bounce the Swords of Revealing Light and hope that's enough to win the game. If he stops this, I could just lose, but I can't wait. If I wait, I'll lose. So I just decided to go for it, which is a lot of this deck in general. Is just going for it. That's like the fun of it. Also, the less fun part of it is sometimes you just can't go for it. This hand is not great. If I were to draw a Grepher, it would be a really good hand. If I drew Trade-in, it'd be good. He ends up setting 2. Let me skip through this. He ends up dropping Chain Energy and then drop-offing my Morphing Jar, which is actually fine. It would have been a good Morphing Jar for me. I would have pitched my Plague and my Necro. But I just go for heavy because I don't want to pay for all of my my activations. And it ends up being a Solemn Judgment. And he actually thinks on this for a little while, but I guess he doesn't go for it. I don't think I would have sided him either for Chain Energy when it affects you as well. He would have been really low. This guy flips up Warrior Lady. And Warrior Lady versus Plague Spreader and Necro is always a tough choice. Some people like to just send it to grave. I'm one of those people. Some people like banishing it. I like the body more than banishing it most of the time. Obviously, it depends on the game. But having the body, I feel like, does more. And then this guy, he ends up activating card destruction. And I'm like, can you do that with no cards in hand? So I looked up the ruling, and you can actually do it with no cards in hand. But then he like sits here for a while and does nothing. And he's like NM, and I don't really know what that means. But and then I was like, you can activate. He's like, I won't. And I'm like, even though this is like a rated duel, I'm most of the time I'm not gonna shark or anything. I'm just gonna try to play games to be the most have the most fun because it really doesn't mean anything at the end of the day. Just trying to have fun playing Edison, right? And he said he won't do it, so I said that's fine. Even though this, like, discarding these 2 cards and drawing 2 would have been great for me because they're dead as hell. But I said that's fine. I'd rather just win through regular means than do anything else. I end up summoning Necro Gardener here because I think he might have that card from last time, the Swarm of Scarabs set, and that thing only has 500 defense. And if he had... I guess if he had the one that pops back row, that would have been pretty bad. But he ends up having a Sangan. Because the Sangan, we just sit there looking at each other. He has 1 back row, but I'm not really afraid of it. It would have sucked if it was a Dim Prison, I guess. Like Dimensional Prison would have went crazy. He ends up activating Necro Valley. Adding it, rather. And then I'm like, this is the first time I saw it. I should have saw it last game when he did it. And now he actually discards and when I have a Dark Calling, now that my hand's good. And then I draw into Decree Trunade, which are probably the worst cards I could draw in this situation, considering I already have a Decree. He ends up attacking again. And at this point, I'm just hoping to get a good draw. Like, I just want to start getting damage down. Because I'm already not in a great spot, because cards like Necro Valley and Dimensional Fissure and Macrocosmos, this is a graveyard deck. If you can't mess with your graveyard, it's not going to go well. One upside, though, is that we have Trunade. If we want to make a big turn with Dark Calling, we can Trunade his Necro Valley away. I kind of just spoiled what his back row was, but At this point, I didn't know what it was, so I wasn't playing around much. He was telling me right here that if you want to, you can activate Necro. And I didn't actually know this, but like reading the Necro Valley, negate any card that would move a card in the graveyard other than itself. And Necro Gardener does banish itself, so that makes sense. That's cool. And I guess, does that mean the Plague Spreader can pull itself out? Interesting. Very interesting. I end up drawing in a Phantom, but I have nothing in the grave to use. I wouldn't want to copy a Gaia plate just to hit over a Singin. And then I draw into Dark Calling, and obviously it's good here. And I'm still thinking that he has nothing in his back row because he hasn't done anything for forever. But I guess I haven't either. I've just been drawing. So I think for a little while, and then I go for it. I'm going to banish from hand, not from grave, obviously, because I have nothing in grave. And banishing from hand is fine when Necro's up. He thinks for a second. I ask if it's alright. He activates Impulse, and I chain my decree. It's that easy. This time he has Swarm of Locusts. This is one that would have gotten hit over earlier by my Necro Gardener. That was what I was thinking. He ends up taking 2,500 big ones. I end up setting the second Royal Decree because I figured he'd have spot removal in a deck like this, not stuff like Heavy, because he's setting his own back row, like a lot of his own back row. I guess everybody probably runs Heavy, so maybe I shouldn't have done that. I just didn't want to get caught in a loop where I didn't have Decree up. And it seemed to work fine. He ends up just going into defense. And then I started hitting the face down there. I probably should have definitely hit the Singin here, like not knowing what his face down is. But usually, like, you would just attack into it because you're not afraid of it being a Raikou or whatnot. But since it's a recruiter, this deck doesn't play well into recruiters unless you just kill people. But since I can't do lethal damage, he ends up getting Swarm of Scarabs out. And Swarm of Scarabs is obviously an out for Gaia. Shoot this up a little bit. Ends up flipping, getting the activation, destroying. He thinks and then he doesn't attack. I don't quite know why. I honestly don't know why. It's not Gore's. Maybe he thinks I have the Imprison or something, but I'm kind of confused, so I just attack over his guy. And then this will let him attack over my guy with his Singin. But instead he attacks over with Scarabs for some reason. It doesn't... does he set it? He does in fact set it. But I end up drawing into Lumina. And here's a big play. You could either pitch it off recharge, or you can normal it, recharge, summon something from the grave. But knowing that this is Scarab, I could just attack over it. But I end up just going for the draw play because that's the fun in this deck, is drawing cards, having the potential to draw Dark Calling and whatnot. That's what I find fun about the deck, even if it's not the correct play. I think that's the fun. And that's what matters. I end up drawing 2, and I've drawn the bloody good card, aka Dark Calling. And we look in grave. We have Norleras, we have Gaia, we also have Valkyrion, obviously banished Valkyrion. And that's where the true name comes in. I can get this back to his hand, and that's game. He had Chain Energy and Descendant in his hand, so he wasn't doing much. So obviously that's game. Let's fast forward. And that's the end of game 1. That's exactly how you want games to go. Even though this is like a sort of heavy back row deck, he seemed to draw monsters this game instead of a lot of back row. And the Decree, I'm almost feeling like maining Decree. That's how good it's been performing in these games. I'll be right back with game 2. I'm back in game 2, and we're here against we_offline. Let's do it. I end up getting the rock, paper, scissors right, and we're going into a pretty bad hand, honestly. Apart from Gore's, there's not really much I can do here. So I'm just going to set Necro here. Nothing else to do. This guy normal summons Armonite, and that's usually when you know that it's value. Attacks over my guy. I draw into Reincarnation, so I'm just like, okay, I'll just televise the Gores. It is what it is. They attack what you want. That's fine. Either way, I'm just waiting for good draws. We have Trunade. We have Dark Calling that's live right now with these. This game is looking pretty good. We just need a little bit more damage to kill him. He ends up tributing for Sirocco, which I found really interesting. So I end up going for the Gores, obviously. Best card in the format. And here he just thinks for a little while and passes. And right here, I'm thinking what I can do, like here's the plan in my head. This is why this deck is so fun, because there's so many interesting lines you can go for. In my head, I'm thinking, okay, let's Monster Reincarnation, pitching the Wolf to add back the Necro Gardener. That'll give us a Dart to go into to normal summon Dark Greffer, and we can send that Dart to send the Desgardius from deck, and then that should be lethal if the Giant Trunade works. What actually happened was I Trunaded, and in my brain it didn't click that a value player, because he has value in the grave, right? And so on the field would have Icarus Attack, but this could be the Nitro value list. That list is cool. And Icarus Attack is a great card here, obviously. He's just going to kill both of my monsters. And this next play I'm not proud of. It's really bad. I counted it out and I still did it. But it leads to a funny reaction. I was actually laughing out loud. Everybody says LOL, but they're not really laughing out loud. I was actually laughing when this happened. I target the Gores. And I figure I'd keep the Necro in grave, so that if he had Crow, at least he crowed the Gores and not the Necro. And then I Greffer, pitch that, send Desgardius. But the thing is, if I were to Dark Calling with Gaia plus Desgardius, that's a 6,100. I put that on the board plus 17, that's 7,800. He'll be at 200 life. And then, so what I should have done right here is just send the Plague Spreader. Had I sent Plague Spreader, I would have done a little less damage, because it'd be 28 plus 27, 55, right? 55 plus this, 72. But I would have had Plague in the grave, and that's a lot better. Still, though, either way, I'm using all my resources. It's not great. I'm not proud of this play. And then he says, are you playing Value Turbo? And I'm like, as I activate Dark Calling, I say, yes. Yes, I am playing it. And then he sees that, he's like, Lavelle. Fun little interaction with this guy. I end up attacking in 16, or 17 rather, and 61. Leaving him at 200 life. And the good things about this play is that he can't brain control. He can't, which is the main way this deck loses actually a lot, is you go into Dark Gaia, the brain control, and then you end up losing because your guy's so big. Standby man. And then he's got Sirocco value in the grave. I've got no resources. He's got 5 cards. He Brodas. And this is a rated duel, by the way. I made this new account. Oh, yeah, I forgot to say this. I made this new account because I didn't have my name on the other one. I wanted people to know the channel. And then turns out when you type, they give you a little colon. So it's like a double colon thing here instead of the smiley face. Because someone ended up taking the name Yugioh. Or YDKE. So that was kind of funny. So he ends up searching. He ends up activating his value. And I'm like, oh, he's got some way to get rid of my cards, I guess. Maybe he's going to go into Dark End. I was like, I played this game really bad. I deserve to lose. He's thinking. He normal summons Card Trooper, and I'm like, whoa. Is he trying to mill Plague? I guess that could be a way for him to get out. He ends up milling. You do not want to see these mills. All of these are really good cards, and he did not want to mill them. And then he activates BrainCon, and I'm like, oh, he's just giving me the win. Okay, I guess he had nothing. And I'm like, oh yeah, sure, because I thought he was just showing his hand that he lost, and I'll let it play out for itself. I'm like, yeah, thumbs up, man. I said rough mills. He's like, no cap. And he starts attacking, and I'm like, hold up, man. I'm just letting him sit on it for a minute, because I'm like, this guy's trolling me, right? Like, it's a rated duel. I don't care too much, but like, just take your defeat on the chin, right? And then he keeps attacking, and I'm like, damn, like he doesn't know. And then he's like, yeah. And I'm like, oh wait, am I being trolled? Like, what's going on here? Next game? Question mark. And I'm like, yep, next game. Look at your life points. Now I don't know what do you have in his hand. He had Greffer, and he had Plague Spreader. Wow, he could have done a million things here. He could have normaled Greffer, send the Plague. He could have done that, gone into Dark Armed. He could have done tons of things, but instead he just completely forgot about his life points. I guess Dark. Not saying this guy's the craziest duelist ever, but Dark Gaia makes people forget how to play the game. I guess he is on Nitro Value, so I figured he'd know more. And he's like, "Oh shit, I forgot." And this actually made me start laughing. Because he's like, yeah, next game, question mark? Because that's usually true. What's somebody brain cons you when you're playing Dark Guy? It usually is next game. I just thought that was really funny. I've never had that happen to me before, where someone genuinely didn't realize they paid the rest of their life points away. Which I'm not even sure if that's like a legal thing to do. I don't know if you can pay more life points than you have. I don't think the card would let you activate it, but it was funny anyway. Let's go back a little bit. Oh god. I seem to have gone too far. Basically, I activated card destruction with a full hand. These cards. I could have set the decree because he already had one set and one in the back row, and then I could have drawn 4, but I just decided to go for 5 because I already had the Norleras, so the chances of drawing 5 cards and seeing the chaos would be higher. And I did end up drawing the Phantom of Chaos, so I just decided not to go for Foolish. And I was like, it's probably better if I just try to Chaos here, see what happens. He does end up having Torrential, but I don't think he knows what Norleras does. This guy might just be a new duelist. 119 out of 62. I am on a new account in this game, but it is a rated duel, so. And he's playing Nitro Value or just Value Turbo, some sort of list. And he doesn't torrential me, so I just get to use my Norleras effect. And he's like, okay. I'm like, okay. And he's like, what? I say Norleras effect. And then he ends up doing it. And one thing to know about this deck is that when you're playing against birds or Value, especially Value, sometimes plants, this just goes for Norleras decks in general. They might just have a better grave than you after you Norleras. Even if it is getting rid of a lot of their resources. Like this guy milled or doesn't have Plague, Necro, Plague, and Value are in the grave now. Compared to me just having an assortment of rocks and fiends. And I just drew into a dead solar recharge. So a little bit of mouse energy with the Gaia there. But it is how it is sometimes. He ends up drawing decked heavy, so obviously the guy is not too bad. And he's looking in his grave right now for a Sirocco that's not there. I'm drawing a free, which is great. Sets Value plus that, and I draw Wolf was an insane draw. Wolf is crazy here. And then these, like, dude, drawing calling right here, insane. I have decree. I've never felt safer. Never felt safer. So I banished Asgardius. I banished Valkyrion, and we make a 6,800 Gaia. That's gonna hit this guy's value for 6,000. Takes him a second. Takes 6,000. It says GG's. He drew Nimble Mega Hamster, but that would have just got flipped and died to my Gaia, and that was the end of the game. This guy was like a newer duelist, but this shows you just like how much this deck can pop off. Let's go into game 3. All right, we're back for game 3, and we're against Mercury Falcon here. I say good luck, have fun, and I end up losing the RPS. I think every time I say good luck, have fun before I click on the RPS, I lose the RPS. I don't know if anyone else feels the same way, but that's just how I feel. So this hand's pretty good. I have trade-in plus a level 8. That's always good. Plus Heavy Storm. Great hand. I draw into a Card Trooper and Greffer. I end up summoning the Card Trooper because I want to mill, see what I mill. Maybe we can do more than I'm doing right now, but maybe I should have just played the Greffer because when I attack into this Warrior Lady, he's going to banish it so I don't get the draw. That's something to think about. I end up milling 3. I mill Morphing Jar, Norleras, and Paladin. Pretty good mills. Oh, milling Norleras always feels good. This guy summons Valley, and I draw into Chaos. Great draw. And right here, he has nothing. And right here, I'm going to do a Paladin play in this deck that I honestly don't think I should have done this game. A lot of games you do this if you have Dark Calling in your hand because, well, you'll see the play, but this is, you get Plague Spreader in the grave, you activate Plague Spreader, and then you put something on top of your deck that you want to have in the following turn so that you can play faster than the other person. It's a Gaia Classic, or not a Gaia Classic, a Norleras Classic. But I put the Gaia on top of the deck, and I only have 2 rocks in the grave. What that means is I could attack for 2,800, and the next turn it'll just die by its own effect in the standby phase. So I wasn't really thinking so much, so I basically lost a Plague. And here's where it's revealed that this guy's on Christia. This is probably the biggest counter for this deck. I can't do much about Christia. It's just a thorn in my side. So I end up passing, we end up passing, and I don't summon the Gaia play because I don't think 2,800 damage is worth. I just want to wait for him to play something so at least my 2,800 guy can out something. At least get a resource. He passes. We're passing back and forth. My hand's not great. I mean, these 3 cards are dead. He banishes 2 lights. Summons Soul of Purity and Light. And then passes. Doesn't attack. And at the time I didn't know. I was like, why doesn't he attack? I guess he thinks I have cores. But he was waiting for his dust shoot so he could confirm it or not. And this dust shoot is not great because my guy is not going to do much anyway. But this is exactly what I was waiting for. Was I have finally a chance to do something with my guy. And the second I can, he ends up dust shooting me. Just a little unfortunate. But I have 2 recharges. My hand's going to go crazy as long as we draw something good soon. Go fast. Hits me for 2k. Now that he knows my hand is useless, I draw into probably one of the best draws in the deck. Charge of the Light Brigade. This card's so crazy. I mill 3 really good cards. You did not want to see this. These are... I would have drawn that. Drawing this would have gone crazy. I end up adding Wolf to hand because I don't want to draw Wolf. Sometimes you want to leave Wolf in deck to mill it, but I really need good draws right now, so I'm going to just get rid of it. Draw, mill 2. I end up milling Lumina and another recharge. Kind of rough. My hand is super dead now. I end up going for Gaia Plate this time, though. I only have 2 rock still, sadly, even after the mills, but at least it'll out the Soul Purity and Light. This guy doesn't know how the card works, so tell him to take 13. We go back and forth. He banishes Herald. Not, yeah, Herald of Wordfoot. I draw Trade-in. Trade-in's a great draw here. Phantom of Chaos plus Necro Gardener. And right here is a questionable play, but I have 3 dead cards to his 2 cards, and he has Herald coming back. And I'm like, my Phantom of Chaos ain't going to be useful in a turn anyway. Like, not this standby phase that's coming up, but the next one, he's just going to be able to Herald me. So I'm like, I'm going to Chaos now, get the advantage, get the Necro Gardener and the Desguardius Engrave, and see what we can do. I target it. He says it's fine. He ends up pitching Trag and Christia. Man, if he had gotten this Christia out, I would have instantly lost the game. That's how bad this matchup is. And I end up getting the best top deck ever. Dark Calling, and I end up banishing Desguardius and Gaia for a perfect 1600 game. That is, I know he was a little upset about that. I would be upset about that. I would feel like I got sacked. But here we are. That's what's fun about this deck. Stuff like that. There's a little bit of mouse synergy. There's a bunch of cards you draw after doing your Norleras that you can't play, and you're like, you need advantage after your Norleras. Right there is why this deck is fun. I end up siding. The cards I end up siding are... I side in... I think I sided in Decree, maybe? And well, actually, I didn't side in Decree. I sided in Soul Release, and I sided in... I might have sided in Crows. And I also sided in Dino. Because I'm just trying to look for any way to stop the Christia from hitting the board. Because Christia will solo this deck, sadly. I have very few outs. And the outs aren't good. You want banishing outs for Christia, but this deck has none of that, sadly. And the first play of the game, he goes for Christia. And then he has Jowgen. And I'm like thinking in my head, I'm like, I could just use this Raikou pop on the Shining Angel. Also, this hand is terrible. This hand is not what you want to see. It's clogged with 6 monsters, but I could use the pop from the Raikou on the Shining Angel. I'm not too worried about a Jowgen. It's just 200. I can normal summon the Plague next turn. I pop this guy. I mill 3. Terrible mills. At least there's a dark though. Or not a dark, but a Gaia. Then I draw a charge. Charge is good here. But I just go normal Plague. And he has Torrential. Oh, I probably should have showed that, but he had Torrential. That's why he was thinking. That's why I went back to the main phase. He didn't end up wanting to do it. He just lets it go. Probably thinks there's a better time to do it, and he's probably right. I end up milling the Soul Release that I sided in, sadly. I mill... Valkyrian's a good mill. Now I have a live Gaia plate, but Dark Calling mill, obviously bad. I add Lilo to threaten his back row. And he's probably happy right now that he kept it, because when I normal summon it, he could just torrential me. He attacks over. And then I draw into Lumina. And I'm like looking at my grave, and I'm like, oh, there's a Raikou in my grave. I can pitch special Lumina, or Lumina pitch special Delilah. I have great plays. And I get punished. This card is the second card of why this is an impossible matchup. When you try to use your Gaia, or not your Gaia, but your Norleras, he ends up getting heralded, and you go minus on your normal summon. When you try to use Lumina, she ends up getting, you discard and then she's dead. It's not great. It's never great. He pitches his Soul of Purity and Light, and then he has 3 fairies in the grave. And I'm like looking at it, I'm like, I know he gets Christia in his next standby, so I just pass. He ends up adding Christia. Normal summons Warrior Lady. And I'm like, okay, this is fine. He doesn't have Christia yet. I get Phantom of Chaos. Looking at Grave. There's no Norleras. I have no way to pitch my Norleras. This hand is why you might not want to play the deck. It can be a little bricky. He then torrentials, and I'm like really surprised. I was like, why would you torrential my Gaia play? And then I realized why. He has 4 fairies in the grave now. So I end up just going for the best play I can think of. I'm like, normal the Phantom. I was looking at the Lumina and Lila, see if I could summon the Lila somehow, but I can't. So I end up Plague Spreadering. Summoning it. I end up hitting the Valkyrian on top. It doesn't really matter. All the cards are not live right now. I end up making a 6. I'm just like, hey, Christie is coming down next turn. I gotta do something. Attack for 28. Go in the main. Specials Christia. Adds back Shining. Normals the Shining. And attacks him Yugioh. And he ends up attacking into it, and he's like, want it? And I'm like, and I kind of, like, this matchup makes me a little upset because it is the worst possible matchup, I think, for this deck. Maybe y'all could think of a worse one, but this is pretty bad. And he's like, want it? And I'm like, this is your own boss monster. How do you not know what it does? And I just start targeting it over and over again. I don't know if it shows in the replay, but I target like 30 times. Because I'm just like, how do you not know what your deck does? And then it doesn't matter because this clause right here makes it an impossible matchup. If this face-up card would be sent from the field to the grave, place it on top of the deck. So even if you out it once, it's coming back anyway. So he ends up taking out my Guardian. I gotta obviously draw the Valkyrian. He summons back out the Christia. Adds Herald, and this game is basically over. I just stay in the game for, you know, to see what other cards he might have and stuff, and then he summons Consecrated Light, and Consecrated Light's not even that good against this deck. It obviously stops your Grepher, it stops your Phantom of Chaos, but you still can make your Gaia plays, your Dark Gaia plays, and your regular Gaia plays, but this hand is just impossible, especially with the Consecrated. I actually could have normal this, pitch the Norleras, maybe put Necro Gardener in the grave, but the Consecrated Light came in clutch for him. I set it, attacks it, I draw Dark Calling, and Christia. I can't special summon because of Christia. Neither player can special summon monsters, and that's next game. Didn't see my Dyna, milled my Soul Release. It's one of the rough parts of the deck is that sometimes there's nothing you can do. I pitch Norleras. And Necro Gardener. Pass. There's a play where you could set Fossil Dyna, but I want to keep that for the Christia. He sets Warrior Lady. Now I have Reincarnation. There's a play here you can make. Oh, my bad, I didn't mean to show that. But there's a play you can make here where you pitch one of your cards, add back one of the darks, pitch it off of this. No, never mind. But if you drew another dark, you could send Phantom of Chaos and then get it back with Reincarnation. That's what I was trying to say. I'm banishing my Grepher, which I'm fine with. That's fine with me. Grepher doesn't do anything in this matchup. I set my Raikou. I'm feeling good. He ends up mind controlling it, which is annoying. He flips it and mills 2 fairies. That's how it feels like when I play against this deck. And it's fine when I'm playing almost any other deck. And then he ends up banishing my whole grave with Soul Release. I would like to see that. So I end up telling him I can chain Necro Gardener so he can't attack me this turn, at least with one guy. He says fine. He summons Shining Angel. And he has 2 fairies in grave. I summon Drain and attack him. I don't know about this play. If I don't attack, he can just attack into me to put fairies in the grave. Like, maybe I'm supposed to set the Greffer here so that he can't get stuff into the grave, but if he has any other summon, I'm not in a great position anyway. It's kind of rough either way. He ends up getting Alchemist, which is going to trade with my Jane. I mill Dark Calling Lila. Not great. Having Lila in the grave for Monster Reincarnation is fine. He trades. He adds back the Warrior Lady that he banished earlier. And he puts down the Christia. I'm like, oh, Dimensional Alchemist is a fairy? That guy looks like a warrior. He looks pretty warrior-like. Yeah. So there's 4. Attacks into my Dinah, pops the Christia, but he has 3 in grave, and it's back on the top of his deck because I can only pop it. Maybe I need to make the side deck better to play against the Christia matchup. That might be something that needs to be done. I normal summon this, pitch a dark, and then I send from deck to grave. I send Norleras. And that's kind of televising what I have. Obviously, at that point, they're going to know that I have, that I might have reincarnation. Or else, why would I do that? But, he ends up honesting this attack, which I'm a little confused on, because he would have just banished my guy anyway. It just feels like he's wasting a resource that could be used to keep his Christia alive. But, yeah, he ends up honesting over my Greffer. And I was like, if I can survive a turn, I can reincarnation, get my chaos back, and then I can do something. But, yep, he has 6,000 on board, like 18, 33, 41, 61. He has 6,100 on board. I have 5k life. Nothing I can do. That is the end of the game. On this channel, we're not going to really do wins. We're going to show I just did 3 games in a row, and that's what I showed today. I'm not saying I'm always going to just do 3 games in a row, but that's what I decided to do. I needed to show this part of the deck too, where sometimes you break, sometimes you win by drawing Dark Calling and having 6,100 perfectly when they have 6,100 life points. Sometimes they Christia, and there's nothing you can do. That's just how this deck works and how its matchups work. But I hope you enjoyed it. I'm going to go back to the deck list and I'll say my final thoughts. I'm back. We're looking at the deck list again, and I'm pretty happy with this deck list. I do think there's a case to decrease in the main and maybe take out 1 Gaia plate, maybe take out Morphing Jar or something. You can make that argument. You could take out the Desguardius for the Lava Golem. That would work. The side deck could be a lot better. Maybe these Massacre Strix and pulling the rugs aren't needed because I already have Lava Golems for the Frog matchup. Maybe that would be fine. But I'm not good at siding, like I said. And just plan to... I just really liked this deck. It was fun making it. It's fun playing it. All the draw power. If you can get it to go right at the same time, it's really good. Obviously, there's just going to be hands where you brick, where you draw 2 Solar Recharge and some level 8 guys. But if you're bricked, your top decks are going to be a lot better because they're going to get you unbricked, if you survive, that is. I think this deck's really fun. Obviously, as the same with the Vengeful Servant deck list, it's not very good at siding. Like, there's not many cards you want to side out of. Obviously, in certain matchups like Black Wings, I would want to completely remove this 6-card engine. I wouldn't want to have Greffer, I wouldn't want to have Phantom of Chaos. I'd just completely get out of them. Because when you get into a graveyard battle with value, they're usually going to win. Same thing with plants, honestly. So that's somewhere you could have a good side against. The Gaia part of the deck's pretty good. You can almost just play the Gaia Sworn deck, and it might just be better than this. But I think this one's a little bit more fun, personally. And I think the extra deck's pretty fine. And that's mostly what I have to say about the deck. I hope you all enjoy it. I ended up putting the Vengeful Servant deck in the description of the last video. I'm going to do the same for this video. I'm going to put this deck list in the description. I'm going to put the code right here, the YDKE code. And maybe y'all can try out the deck. Tell me what you think. Tell me in the comments how you would make this better. It's always about refining decks, having more fun, and seeing if any of these decks can break the mold and actually be good rather than just be jank. I don't know whether to put this in the jank one or not, but I think I will, just because it's combining 2 win conditions. And that's it. I'm out, and have a great day.